Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Today's going to be hearing and chanting all day, and reading, hearing, and chanting. Huge, huge endeavor. It's been going on for months of trying to enclose the front of the house, the porch, so that the rain doesn't come in. The way the porch was designed was terrible design. When it rains, the water comes in and it can't get out, so it just soaks into the floorboards and rots everything. When they make porches, they make them so when it rains, the water, it's tilted a little bit, the water slides off. They didn't do that. This is a do-it-yourself house. It's amazing. There's no square corners. I don't think they knew what a builder's level was. It's a very amazing structure. It's fun, but this has been a major everything, dragging stuff around, and then when not actually working on it, you have to think about it. Well, do I want to put the board this way, or do I want a different kind of board to go that way, or what about little wheels for the panel? It's been a huge endeavor, and I'm exhausted. And it was sunny for like a week or two, and I managed to get it up, and now the rain is here, and it's protected. There's still a little more to do, but not now. No more planning and thinking. The planning and thinking part, it's just a matter of putting a little handle here and a little padlock there. Not a padlock, a little latch there. It's easy stuff. So today, first day where I don't have that hanging over my head, and I can just hear and chant again. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, for a little while until the next exciting adventure. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I'm looking at a short song, about 6 verses, Bhakti Siddhanta, Vaikuntha Hoite Srestha. And it looks like it's an easy meter. It looks like it's in Bengali. Similar meter to Chaitanya Charitamrita. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. I can even try to sing it. Hare Krishna, Hare, and then the English. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Very nice song. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare. Very logical and neat. And it starts out at one level and it goes to the next level, to the highest level. He does it all in six verses. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Just have a few more mantras to do around. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. When we chant, Do we think that Krishna doesn't have ears? That he's not hearing us? Krishna's hearing. When we chant, we're not hearing. Krishna's hearing. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, 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 Hare. When devotees practice making offerings of food stuff to Krishna, for the longest time I heard that he eats it by looking, which he can do anything with the different, he can see with, he can hear with his eyes, he can smell with his nose, he can taste with his feet, don't you try it. But he can do these things because his body is completely transcendental. It's not every part of Sakalendriya, I think it's called, every part of his body can do anything. Hare Krishna. Prabhupada compared it like a gingerbread cookie. Wherever you bite into the cookie, the foot of the gingerbread or the arm of the gingerbread cookie, it's gingerbread. So Krishna, his transcendental form, is Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. So I always heard it stressed that he accepts the food by looking at it. But actually, I was just reading in somewhere, a Krishna book, I think, that Krishna, he actually accepts the food by hearing the prayers and the mantras of the devotee who's offering food. Because even deity worship is really not very significant without the mantras and the prayers. Because this is, the practice for this age is Hare Krishna, sound, worshipping the Lord in sound. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. So making the offerings on the plate in front of Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya, it's the mantras that Krishna hears, calling Krishna. He hears the love in the mantra, in the prayer of the devotee making the offering. Hare Krishna, then that's how he tastes the offering. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. You know, you hear the different parts of his body described, but I don't remember hearing like vivid descriptions of his ears. His lotus eyes, his lotus nose, his lotus mouth. Well, guess what? Although I don't remember seeing it stated anywhere, I would wager that he has lotus ears. I feel safe in saying that the Lord has lotus ears. Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, 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 Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama. Just like anybody, really, if you're calling out their name, you get their attention. You know. As a child, I remember as I was dozing off to sleep, I would hear my mother calling my name. It was more of a nightmare than it was a little difficult growing up in the house, but I would hear my mother calling my name as I was dozing off to sleep. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So when you call out a person's name, you get their attention, you know. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, which fits really well with the instruction, don't try to see Krishna, but act in such a way that Krishna will see you. But I don't see that it's actually seeing, like seeing. Act in such a way that Krishna will hear you, will perceive you. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. It's a lot easier than having to get a lot of materials together to build something so that Krishna can see what you built. All I have to do is just chant Hare Krishna so that Krishna can hear you. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Maybe it's something like you're like stranded in the jungle somewhere, and you need to make a connection with civilization because you're at the mercy of the mosquitoes and the snakes and the scorpions and the lizards and the heat and the poison ivy and the whatever else is in there in the jungle. You need to make a connection with civilization. So hopefully there's somebody like flying in an airplane overhead. So you make like what you can, like SOS, you know, help, I'm stranded. You try to carve out somewhere in the bushes or the trees, so get their attention to see. But if you have a radio or a telephone, you just dial 911, you know. Help! So that's this. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. And there's a problem with depending on doing things to attract the attention of Krishna. There's a problem with that, which we see with the pastime of King Riga. He was an exceptional king. He was a pious king. His kingdom flourished. He did everything by the Brahmins, by the book, for the pleasure of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He executed his duties perfectly. And he was going to be elevated to another realm where he was going to be richly rewarded, going to the heavenly planets. One time, one cow, he gave millions of cows in charity, one cow that he gave to a Brahmin all by itself wandered back into the king's herd, and the king, not knowing what had happened, gave it in charity to another Brahmin. So when the Brahmin that originally received the cow realized what had happened, he was very upset, because a Brahmin's property is considered sacred, and to take it for any reason is a very serious violation. There has to be a punishment for it. So there was a big argument between the two Brahmins. Well, now it's my cow. You can't take it because I'm also a Brahmin. And he said, yeah, but it was given to me. And they were arguing. So they went to the king, and the king was very unhappy that this had happened. So he offered to give 100,000 cows to the first Brahmin in exchange for the one cow to the second Brahmin. And the first Brahmin said, no, that's not going to fix this. There's been a violation here. Because they were very, very fixed on following everything to the perfect nitpick. Not going to accept it. It wouldn't fix it. So, at the time of death, it couldn't be fixed. At the time of death, King Riga went before Yamaraj, and Yamaraj explained, on the one hand, you have practically unlimited rewards and pleasures coming to you for all the good that you've done and all the service that you did so nicely. But there's one thing, and you have to suffer for it. There's just one little thing. You have to take a lower birth, a birth as a lizard, for one lifetime, and then you can go to enjoy all your stuff. So King Riga thought, well, let me get this out of the way, this one little thing. Let me do that first, and then I'll be free to enjoy. So he took birth as a lizard. But it was right during Krishna's pastimes in Dwarka. And one day his sons were in the forest, and they noticed this giant lizard in a well. They couldn't get him out, so they went to their father, Krishna. He says, well, there's a giant lizard in the well. We need to get him out. And by the touch of Krishna, King Riga was... he attained a spiritual body, never mind the heavenly planets. So, but the point there was that to rely on doing something perfectly either charity or austerities or penances or as a ruler, a ruling class, that is going to be perfectly done, and that's going to get us there. It doesn't work. Because the example of King Riga really shows that even one tiny little, although he did meet Krishna, but it was because he met Krishna, not because of his perfect behavior. So the shortcut, the path of least resistance, is the chanting. So instead of simply trying to build something big for Krishna, although that's okay, there's scope for that. There's scope for that, as long as the chanting is going on at the same time. Because the chanting is the top priority. The other stuff it's okay, but it's not. The real thing is the calling out. Because at the time of death, we call out for Krishna. We call out for Krishna. Queen Riga shows that. And also, there's some examples. Prabhupada was talking about how at the time of death, somebody who's done a lot of stuff, and been really successful in different ways. He's probably given charity, probably followed basic rules of religious rules and so on. But they lament, oh, if I just had another day or two, I could finish this. You don't want to be thinking like that at the time of death. You don't want to be thinking like that at the time of death. You want to just call out for Krishna. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. So how important is this taking shelter of the Lord in sound? Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare. You want to offer food so he can taste it with his tongue, see it with his eyes, enjoy it. But what really gets him is the sound. The sound. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. His beautiful lotus ears. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. You don't think he's listening? Of course he's listening. What do you think, he's deaf? Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Absolute sentient thou hast proved, impersonal calamity thou hast moved. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. So this is the song by this computer goes dead. Come on. Wake up. Wake up. Oh, come on. I have it on the screen here. What is your problem? Oh, there it is. Yeah, it goes, it dies. Okay. And it's Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, Vaikuntha Hoite Srestha. Vaikuntha Hoite Srestha, Mathura Nagari, Janamala Vilayata, Krishna Chandra Hari. Mathura Hoite Srestha, Vrindavana Dhamma, Yata Sadhyachi Hari, Raso Savakama. Vrindavana Hoite Srestha, Govardhana Shaila, Giridhari Gandharika Yata, Krida Kaila. Govardhana Hoite Srestha, Radhakunda Tate, Premate Bashaila Go Kula Lampata. Govardhana Giritati Radhakunda Chadi, Anyatratye Karinija Kunja Pushpabadi, Nirodha Tahara Sama Kehanahi Ara, Kundatira Sarvotama, Stana Premadara. Higher than Vaikuntha is Mathura city, since there occurred the advent of Sri Krishna Chandra Hari. Better than Mathura is Vrindavan, the holy place where Lord Hari enjoyed the joyous dance of amorous love. Above Vrindavan Dham is Govardhan Hill, the lifter of the hill, and his consort there did intimately revel. Even higher than Govardhan Hill is the banks of Radhakund, that the sweetheart of Gokula overfloods, sweet love abound. Who would select for his worship any other place, disregarding this pond at Govardhan's base. Such a foolish fellow surely cannot be found. The highest abode of love divine is the banks of Radha Kund. Bhaktisiddhanta. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Govardhana Gira Tata Radha Kunda Chari. Anya Charki Kari Nija Kunja Pushpabari. Who would select for his worship any other place, disregarding the sacred pond at Govardhan's base? Nirbodha Tahara Sama Kehanahi Ara Kundatira Sarvatama Stana Premadara. Such a foolish fellow cannot be found. The highest abode of love divine is the banks of Radha Kund. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.